Imagine this. You're standing in a sun-baked valley, dust swirling around your feet as two massive armies stare each other down. One side is a horde of unstoppable conquerors who've never tasted defeat, their horses stamping the ground like thunder. The other, a band of former slaves, fighting for their faith and their future. What happens next is just a battle at S, the moment that cracks the greatest empire in history and saves entire civilizations from oblivion. Welcome to Simple Historian, where we break down the epic tales of the past in straightforward ways anyone can follow. Today, we're re-diving deep into the Battle of Ain Jalut. In 1260, a dire clash that stopped the Mongol juggernaut dead in its tracks and changed the world forever. Buckle up, because this is going to be a full, detailed ride through one of history's most underrated turning points. Let's start by setting the stage with the Mongols, the ultimate warriors of the 13th century. Picture this. Back in the early 1200s, a guy named Genghis Khan unites the nomadic tribes of the Mongolian steppes. These people are tough-raised on horseback, surviving brutal winters and mastering archery like no one else. Genghis turns them into a war machine that sweeps across Asia. By the time he dies in 1227, his empire stretches from China to the edges of Europe. His successors keep pushing. They conquer Russia, Persia, and even parts of Eastern Europe, their secret: speed, strategy, and sheer terror. Mongol armies could ride 50 to 100 miles a day on their hardy ponies, outpacing any enemy. Their composite bows were deadly accurate up to 300 yards, and they could fire them while galloping. But fear was their real weapon. They'd offer cities a choice: surrender and pay tribute, or resist and face total destruction. Most chose surrender because the alternative was horrifying massacres, pyramids of skulls, rivers choked with bodies. Fast forward to the 1250s, Genghis's grandson, Hulagu Khan, is in charge of expanding westward. Hulagu is ruthless and ambitious. In 1256, he leads a massive army, maybe 150,000 strong, out of Persia. First, he crushes the assassins, those legendary killers in their mountain fortresses. Then, in 1258, he turns on Baghdad, the heart of the Islamic world. Baghdad was a wonder. Libraries full of ancient knowledge, hospitals, scholars inventing algebra and optics. The Abbasid Caliph ruled from there for centuries, but Hulagu doesn't care. His forces siege the city for weeks, then break in. What follows is one of history's worst massacres. Estimates say 200,000 to 1 million people die: men, women, children. The last caliph is wrapped in a carpet and trampled by horses to avoid spilling royal blood on the ground, per Mongol custom. They loot everything, burn the House of Wisdom, and dump books into the Tigris River until the water runs black with ink. It's not just destruction, it's erasing a culture. From Baghdad, Hulagu keeps rolling. He takes Aleppo and Damascus in Syria, allying with local Christians like the Armenians and even some crusaders from Antioch. By early 1260, the Mongols control most of the Levantha area we now call Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. Hulagu sends a message to the last big Islamic power, Egypt, ruled by the Mamluks. The message: surrender or die like Baghdad. But here's where things get interesting. The Mamluks aren't your average rulers. The word Mamluk means owned in Arabic. They were slave soldiers, mostly kids captured from Turkic tribes in Central Asia or the Caucasus, sold in markets and brought to Egypt. From age 10 or so, they're trained non-stop: riding, archery, sword fighting, tactics, even reading the Quran and learning languages. It's brutal, but it forges them into elite warriors. Once they prove themselves, they're freed and join the military brotherhood. Loyalty isn't to family or tribes, to their fellow Mamluks in Islam. By 1250, these ex-slaves had overthrown their Ayyubid masters, Saladin's dynasty, and taken power in Cairo. Leading the Mamluks is Sultan Qutuz. He's a classic Mamluk story. Captured as a boy from the Kipchak Turks, sold into slavery, rises through the ranks. In 1259, he seizes the throne after a coup. Qutuz is no pushover. He's smart, brave, and deeply religious. His right-hand man is Baybars, another ex-slave with a fierce reputation. Baybars has a scarred eye from battle, speaks multiple languages, and knows Mongol tactics inside out because his people fought them before. He's the brains behind many plans. When Hulag's envoys arrive in Cairo demanding surrender, Qutuz doesn't hesitate. He has them executed, Some say beheaded, and hangs their heads on the Bab Zuela gate as a warning. This is a huge insult in Mongol culture. Envoys are sacred. It means total war. But luck smiles on the Mamluks. In August 1259, the great Khan Monkey Hulag's brother dies while fighting in China. Mongol tradition requires all princes to return for a Kurultai, a big assembly, to pick the new leader. Hulagu pulls most of his army back east, leaving maybe 10,000 to 20,000 troops in the Levant under his general Kitbuka. Kitbuka is a fascinating guy, a Nayman tribesman converted to Nestorian Christianity, loyal and battle-hardened. His force includes Mongol horsemen, Georgian and Armenian allies, and some local Ayyubid princes who've submitted. They're still formidable, but not the full horde. Qutuz sees his chance. He rallies the Mamluks in Cairo on July 26, 1260. Some advisors say, wait it out, but Qutuz gives a fiery speech. If we don't fight now, Egypt falls, and Islam with it. He gathers an army of about 20,000 mostly Mamluk cavalry, plus Egyptian infantry, Syrian troops, Bedouin scouts, and even some Kurds. They march north through Sinai, careful not to provoke the Crusaders in Acre. Actually, Qutuz negotiates with the Franks. Let us pass, and we'll leave you alone. The Crusaders, hating the Mongols more, they saw them as pagan destroyers, agree, and even send supplies. Baybars leads the vanguard, scouting ahead. He captures Gaza, a Mongol outpost, and learns their habits. They send small scouting parties first, then charge with the main force. Kitbuka, hearing of the Mamluk advance, moves south from Baalbek in Lebanon. He sets up near Ain Jalut, which means Spring of Goliath in Arabic, like the biblical Goliath in the Jezreel Valley in what's now northern Israel. It's a strategic spot, flat for cavalry but with hills on the sides for ambushes and fresh water from the spring. The valley is narrow, about 15 kilometers from Bison, at the foot of Mount Gilboa. Perfect for a trap. September 3rd, 1260, it's Ramadan, the 26th day, so the Mamluks are fasting, adding to their resolve. Baybars has a plan. Use the Mongols' own feigned retreat tactic against them. Qutuz hides most of his army in the wooded hills. Baybars takes a small force, maybe 500 to 1,000 Tazbait. Kitbuka's scouts spot them and attack, arrows flying. Baybars' men fire back, but retreat slowly, in good order, luring the scouts deeper. Kitbuka, overconfident after decades of Mongol wins, doesn't scout the flanks properly. He commits his whole army 10,000 to 20,000 men into the valley. As they push forward, horns blare from the hills. Mamluk troops pour out from hiding spots, surrounding the Mongols on three sides. It's a classic ambush. The battle rages for hours. Mongols are pros. Their horse archers wheel and shoot heavy cavalry charges. They have Georgian infantry and Armenian knights, to about 500 Armenians. Some sources even mention early hand cannons or fire lances used by the Mamluks to scare the horses, but historians debate this. It might be naphtha throwers or just arrows. The Mongols almost break through the Mamluk left flank. Qutuz, watching from a hill, sees his lines wavering. Against advice, he rides down, throws off his helmet to show he's not afraid, and shouts 3 times, "O Islam, O Allah, grant victory to your servant Qutuz against the Mongols." Then, he charges with his elite guard, yelling, "Wa Islama," meaning, "Oh, for Islam." It electrifies the troops. These Mamluks are brothers in arms. Seeing their sultan risk, everything boosts morale sky high. The tide turns. Mamluks trained for close combat press with swords, maces, and lances. Some Mongol allies, like the Ayyubid prince Al-Ashraf Musa, switch sides mid-battle. Kitbuka fights like a lion, cutting down enemies, but he's overwhelmed, captured, and executed for refusing to surrender. By sunset, the Mongol army is shattered. Thousands dead bodies piling up, survivors fleeing north. Mamluk losses are light by comparison. It's the first time a Mongol field army is completely destroyed. The aftermath is swift and game-changing. 5 days later, the Mamluks retake Damascus. Aleppo falls within a month. They push the Mongols back across the Euphrates River, ending their hold on Syria. But politics is deadly. On the way back to Cairo, Baybars assassinates Qutuz, maybe over a reward dispute or power grab. Baybars becomes sultan and rules for 17 years. He's a legend, builds mosques, canals, and a navy. crushes the remaining Crusader states by 1291, ending 200 years of crusades. Under Baybars and his successors, the Mamluks defeat the Mongols again at Homs in 1260, and in later battles like Elbistan in 1277. Back in the Mongol world, Hulagu is furious. He executes captive Ayyubid leaders, but he can't launch a full revenge. Why? The empire is fracturing. Monk's death sparks a civil war between brothers Kublai, who becomes emperor in China, and Arik Bok. Plus, Berk Khan of the Golden Horde in Russia converts to Islam and hates Hulagu for sacking Baghdad. Berk attacks Hulag's forces, diverting resources. By 1262, the two Mongol Khanates are at war. Hulagu dies in 1265, and the Ilkhanate he founds in Persia eventually converts to Islam too. The unified Mongol Empire splinters into rival states, the Yuan in China, the Golden Horde, the Chagatai Khanate, and the Ilkhanate fighting each other instead of conquering more. Now, why is Ain Jalut so significant in world history? It's not just a battle, it's the wall that stops the Mongol tide. Without it, the Mongols might have overrun Egypt, then North Africa, maybe even crossed into Europe from the south. Islam could have been crippled, the last caliphate gone, holy sites destroyed. But the Mamluks save it. Egypt becomes a powerhouse under them for 250 years. Cairo booms as a trade hub, linking Europe, Africa, and Asia. They patronize scholars, preserve ancient texts from Greece, Rome, and India. That knowledge flows to Europe via trade, helping spark the Renaissance. Think Leonardo da Vinci, drawing on Islamic math and medicine. Historians note other factors too. A massive volcano eruption in 1257 on Lombok Island caused climate shifts, warmer, drier weather in the Middle East, hurting Mongol horse pastures. Their army relied on grass. Without it, they couldn't sustain big campaigns. Army sizes are debated. Some say Mongols had 10,000 effective fighters versus Mamluks 20,000, but the ambush and morale were key. Ain Jalut shatters the myth of Mongol invincibility. News spreads from Morocco to India. People realize they can fight back. It inspires resistance elsewhere, like in Japan or Vietnam. Today, the site is a quiet valley in Israel, near Nazareth, with kibbutzim and farms. No big monuments, but in Palestinian history, its symbolic fat once compared it to fighting modern foes. It's a reminder, even the mightiest empires fall when faced with unity, smarts, and courage. Whew, that was a deep dive. If you stuck with me through this epic tale, hit that like button and subscribe to Simple Historian for more no-nonsense history breakdowns. We've got stories from ancient Rome to World War II coming up. What battle or event should we tackle next? Drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.